best part is created more questions than answers. And in related news, two major events have compromised an already growing situation. In some portions of America, first responders are refusing to return to work, and in some instances have called the move a strike. In multiple reports, they've stated that conditions have become unacceptable and dangerous. They are ill-equipped to deal with current pandemic sweeping America. Some refusing to return to work without enhanced training and or equipment, while others have simply refused to return to work at all. This comes on the heels of a recent report that was leaked by Civil Defense that stated thousands of first responders, such as paramedics and EMTs, have lost their lives while performing their duties in just the last few days alone. Many injured in the performance of their duties have contracted the associated illness in that very response. They believe this was exacerbated by incorrect reports of incident scenes that were responding to. Calls for overdoses became something more serious. This is resulting in fights and calls for police intervention and injury to responding personnel. Labor unions were quick to come to their defense, concluding that even preemptive actions were not taken to ensure the safety of first responders and medical staff, while the controlling companies countered that they were not given accurate information prior and that ample steps were being taken to increase safety as the situation escalated. Members of Congress have called a hearing on the events to better assess the position of each individual agency. Governors and mayors, on the other hand, have invaded negotiations to beg to end strikes, but in places like Pennsylvania, they're highly understaffed. The situation there may be unrepairable. Residents of Pittsburgh, for instance, have been without food, power, water, basic necessities for up to 48 hours. It's also rumored that communications within the city have been severed, leaving an entire city bereft of assistance, no medical staff to respond to an emergency, and no way of calling for actual help. Georgia has fared much better, with their staff being mandated to double time pay during the situation, but injuries have dwindled some staff members to single digits in some areas. Multiple hospitals have simply closed their doors without staff to man critical equipment and no indication of when these vital tests and treatments could return. A communication discussion was intercepted earlier today as well. The Federal Bureau of Investigation added an emergency report to be fed to administration staff and high-ranking individuals that stated the concern over necessary health care access to the compromised was a primary concern due to potential fatalities as a result of access to required health supplies. In effect, people that have heart conditions, things like diabetes, they need ongoing assistance, and if they cannot get them in these situations, it could be life-threatening. The Surgeon General requested Civil Defense add these needed supplies, such as insulin and heart medication, be added to the shelter services, to which Civil Defense declined, stating the emergency protocols in place would endanger further the lives of anyone already considered compromised. The statement given by a staff member from the FBI that asked to remain anonymous stated that if the cure does not reside with the treatments, then the secondary losses may add difficulty to the primary ones. So what we're assuming is that he's referring to the already sick and those who are dying from lack of medical supplies, outstripping even those infected by the paste pathogen itself. Medical professionals are already scrambling to discuss treatment options and are leaving no stone unturned. Areas that have declared states of emergency as well as states of disaster to quickly unlock needed funds to assist in the effort to find a vaccine or a cure are actively discerning their options. But scientists have admitted that any form of treatment could be months, if not years away. One doctor stated that he was on a call with a group or a joint effort of scientists and medical professionals that were made up of a global conglomerate solely focused on steps to end or even delay the pathogen. So basically looking for any option available, but stated that it's going to be difficult and a time-consuming effort, unquote. Every major pharmaceutical company relayed that they were actively supporting this effort as well. Basically, with an all hands on deck, they also clarified that they were aware that life-saving medicine was not getting to those that needed it, and that the effort revolved around a twofold package to both find some sort of treatment as to also supply those that are in need and do not have access to medication at this time. Still, even for those that are taking action to help the sick, they are also encountering roadblocks, quite literally. One pharmaceutical business, Finn's Chems in New York, has been trying in vain to get supplies into areas like Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, and had said they were receiving pushback, threats, including fines or jail time due to transporting medication into restricted areas. They stated that some areas are completely blocked off and required a statewide authorization to travel. But even when they are allowed to move from one area to another, Board of Health officials determine that they are transporting medications that are immediately told to turn around with various threats from seizure, property, and jail time. They've resorted to a chain of individuals to transport medicine, but even then believe that they aren't sure if these are making it to the areas that most need it. There's also been questions about the legality or the federal limitations that would restrict travel between states that have been enacted in some areas. This had led online sources and social media to advise quickly that leaving areas that are most affected is the best practical way to elevate the situation. But some individuals within these areas simply state to our reporters that it's impossible to leave in some cases, and simple travel in the worst areas is both dangerous and in some cases difficult, if not impossible. Without access to fuel or transportation, this could leave them trapped to basically fend for themselves. Although the situation is not currently widespread, the Surgeon General has released a statement advising diligence in all areas and the states, in a wording that bridges on simply stating, expect this to come to your area at any moment. They refrain from releasing what is expected to be a request for information, and anything that we send them has gone unanswered. But these dictates indicate concerns for many that require further details that simply aren't coming to bear. Is it possible that this illness could spread both nationally, if not at some point worldwide? Has it not already affected some areas that we may not currently even be aware? What is clear from what we're hearing, that this situation is escalating. And the question is the things that are happening in both Georgia and Pennsylvania, will we see a repeat in other areas? So to continue to follow this breaking news story as best we can, we're going to continue to relay to you what we have. But we also would like to rely on you, the viewer, to contact our hotline to advise of any situation that you may see of concern.